everyone, it's me, Crafty Witch, and welcome back to my channel. So I had supper, put on some new lipstick. The stuff I had on before was so dry, it was not very nice. So anyway, I thought I would do another video this evening, and I thought I would talk about some different experiences I've had that were of the paranormal realm. So I think one of the most ones that stand out for this year, 2021, was, it was a very interesting experience. So I had a night terror. And that is not something that is common to me. I know some people have them in childhood and through into adolescence and adulthood and that kind of thing. This was not something that was common to me. And this would be the second time I guess I've ever had one. The first time I ever had one would have been like 2 years ago in June. It was such a horrible situation that time, but this time, the most current one, I guess, was, and I'm laughing because like I scared everybody in the house. I literally, when I sleep, I toss and turn, and sometimes I'm on my side, sometimes not too often on my back. Usually I'm on my stomach, my sides. I roll around, I toss and turn. I got a good big queen size bed, and I'm all over that bed. Like I'm just, flopping and rolling around and all that kind of jazz. I just move around a lot. Typically I'm on my stomach or kind of laying, I don't know, I guess the recovery position, you might call it. But I had woken up. I don't know what woke me up. I don't recall having any kind of dream before I woke up. All I know is when I came to, I was sitting up bolt right in the middle of my bed, staring straight ahead and screaming at the top of my lungs like bloody murder. I don't know why, but I was filled with such incredible terror, and it scared my kids. Like my 2 sons were home. It scared all the animals in the house. And then next thing you know, my sons come charging into my bedroom, and cats are flying and dog is freaking out, and it was quite the event. And I can't remember what time it was. I think it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I was, when they came into the room and they turned the light on, I was still screaming. Like I sat there screaming, and then came to, and then I stopped screaming, but I was petrified, like so terrified, but I don't know why, and I don't know of what. I wasn't having a nightmare. There was no nightmare that I remember having prior to screaming my lungs out. I don't remember sitting up. I don't sleep on my back, so I can't see myself just sitting bolt up and screaming at the top of my lungs. Like typically I'm on my side or on my stomach, I don't typically just lay on my back, but I was sitting like straight up and screaming bloody murder. Like it was not good. And it just happened that across the street there was the police and an ambulance, and they were hauling somebody out onto into the ambulance. And my kids are like, oh my god, I hope nobody sends them over here, because it was so loud. Like my kids were sure that if somebody was outside walking by, they would have definitely heard me scream. And it wasn't just like, ah, it was like, ah, ah, like nonstop screaming. Like it like I woke up, I came to screaming. I'm sitting in the dark. I don't know. I'm not even really aware of what's happening around me. All I know, it was darkness, and I'm screaming, screaming, screaming. And I don't know why. But the only thing I recall was I sensed something towards the foot of my bed that should not have been there, but I don't know what it is. I don't know if I've blocked it out psychologically or what the deal is. Kiva, stop. She's like clawing up my new coach. But like I did sense something, but I don't recall seeing anything at the foot of my bed. And I was so afraid, and I stayed afraid for a couple hours afterwards. Like it wasn't like, oh, and I've had nightmares in the past that were like, oh, you kind of wake up and you're like, whew, that was quite a dream. And then you can brush it off or whatever kind of thing. Whatever this happened, whatever this was rather, was so intense and just like downright terrifying. Like I was scared, and I didn't want to be left alone in my room. And it's like, I'm pushing 50, and like whatever this was, it scared the bejeebies right out of me. So that was that incident. And then 2 years ago, I had kind of a similar but different incident. My middle son, wound up in the hospital with this weird, mysterious illness. He came back from British Columbia, and it started with a backache and headache, and it progressed. He had like 104, 105 temperature, fever, for like 5 days in a row. I took him up to the hospital. They sent us home that first day. They didn't even do any kind of tests on him, nothing. And then I went to work, and we tried everything to bring down his fever. Nothing was working. And then on the 5th day, when I got home from after work, like his eyes were rolling into the back of his head, and I was like, we're loading him up, we're taking him in now. And took him into the hospital, and I told them, we are not leaving here until you guys at least do some blood work. You guys gotta find out what's going on. Like my kids don't get sick for nothing, and this particular child hardly ever gets ill. Like he and my oldest son, like my 2 older kids, they never ever get sick. Like it's very rare for them to get colds or anything like that. So anyway, here's my son who works at construction. I mean, he's been shot with a nail gun, and has endured all kinds of falls and injuries and stuff like that, and is pretty much kind of like the cowboy mentality. You get up and you walk it off kind of thing. Whatever this was just crippled him, and it started in his lower spine. It traveled up his spine into his skull, and at first they thought maybe meningitis. They ran all kinds of tests. They done spinal taps, they done blood cultures, they done blood work, they done urine, they done everything, and they could not find what was attacking his system. But his blood count, like his white blood count, was just through the roof. So they knew he was fighting something, but they didn't know what. And they ruled out meningitis and all that jazz. So anyway, we're dealing with that now at the hospital. But that first night, like the first day when we took him up, we had been up there for hours and hours. They sent us home. They didn't do any blood work. And then I think it was that night is when that thing, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to classify it as. I don't think it was like an actual night terror. I wasn't even asleep. I hadn't even gone to sleep yet. So the way my room is, like Dalton's, he went to bed. The boys, all my boys are in bed. Animals are chilling, doing their thing. I'm in my room, and the way my bedroom is, It faces the main, like the street, and there's light posts outside, and my room is very well lit, even if there's nothing on. Um, Even when it's dark, like it's usually pretty well lit. You can make out where the dressers are, the desk, the mirrors, all that. Where my altar is, like you can get around. Once your eyes like are adjusted to the dark, it's very easy to maneuver around in my room. If it's like a full moon night, or just because of the street lights, just the way they angled them, because we got new street lights. So anyway, everybody's going to bed. I put on my pajamas, I shut the lights off, and I lay on my side. And just to kind of give you an outline, so here's the window, and right under the window I have this tall dresser, and then about 2 feet away from the dresser is my bed, because I have my little nightstand and then my bed. And then so I'm laying on the bed, but I'm facing away from the window and away from the dresser. Okay, I lay on that side and I'm trying to get comfy, and you're settling in. I'm not even asleep. Like, I didn't even fall asleep. I'm awake. Okay, and then I get this, like, my hair is standing up on end, and I get the feeling that somebody's watching me. I turn over, because, you brush it off. I brushed it off. And so I rolled over, and because my eyes are now, like, they're adjusted to the dark, I can see everything in the room. I turn over, and, like, between the bed and the dresser, which is only about 2 feet, there was this solid black mass, and it was about 6.5 to 7 feet tall, and it was solid. Like, it blocked out the light from the street lights. Like, it looked as though this really tall person was standing by my bed, and it was solid black. You couldn't see through it. It wasn't transparent. And it startled me, because, like, I was just trying to go to bed, and just had got that feeling something was looking at me. And then when I turned over, like, I rolled over to lay on this other side, and then I saw that there. Well, then I started screaming, and then with this hand, because my nightstand is, like, right beside me with my lamp, and it's like, and my instinct is to fight. So I make a fist, and I'm screaming, and I'm looking at this giant black thing standing there, and I start trying to punch it and fight it. At the same time, I'm trying to reach for my lamp, and I'm trying to turn the string, like the light switch on my lamp, and I'm screaming, and I'm reaching for the lamp, and I'm punching, all at the same time. So I'm trying to do these 3 things. I'm trying to scream, I'm trying to fight this thing, because it scared me. I didn't know what it's doing. It didn't seem to be friendly, because it was solid black mass that, being creepy, like, coming up right behind you, like, fuck off. And I'm also trying to turn the fucking light on at the same time. So I'm screaming, I'm trying to punch this thing, and as I would punch it, like, my hand would go, like, right through this black mass. Like, I wasn't even hitting anything. My hand was going through it, and I'm screaming, and then screaming bloody murder again. And then all 3 of my boys come running into my room. By then, I had turned the light on. This thing had disappeared, and I was just like, holy crap. So then, smudge the house, cleanse the house, that kind of thing. And then had to take my son in to the hospital that next day, I think it was, when I got back from after work. And yeah, so there was all that. So there were those 2 situations. So I don't know if I can consider that one to even be a night terror. I didn't even sleep. Like, I didn't even go to sleep yet. Like, I hadn't even had a chance to fall asleep. I literally just crawled into bed, laid on the one side, and I went, oh yeah, I don't feel so comfortable. I'm looking around in the room. Then I got the feeling I was being watched, rolled over, and saw this great big tall black thing standing beside, like right beside me, not at the foot of the bed, but right beside me. And that wasn't too cool. So there was that experience. And yeah, it was, for this place that we've lived in, we've been here 4.5 years, about that. Maybe going on 5. And maybe, no, I think we're more like 4.5 years. Those are the two substantial things that I've experienced in this place. We've had other experiences, like where my kids might hear me calling them, but I'm not even home. Or I'll hear my son come home from work. Sometimes he works really late at night, my one son, and I'll hear the door open and close and like him walk in, and I come out here and there's nobody here. The animals, we can tell that they see things because they'll follow something with their eyes. A lot of animals do that. The dog has gotten scared of something in the basement. Kind of freaked out my one son, because the one time the dog and one of the cats, they were focused on looking at something in this dark area of the basement that my son couldn't see, and the dog was growling and the cat, it was like getting all puffed up and that kind of thing, looking towards whatever it was that they saw. What else has happened? Lights will come on and off in the basement. Just things like that. Sometimes you hear tapping noises, but nothing too major. And typically in the spring and fall is when, we like to put some protection around the property and around the house. And if I slack off in those areas, then things will tend to go bump in the night and that kind of thing. But yeah, that night terror that I had this year, that was really scary. I don't know what it was that scared me. I sensed that there was something towards the foot of my bed that should not have been there. I really don't know. And to like, I don't even know what made me sit up or what have you. All I know was I was sitting up in the middle of my bed screaming. It was dark. And then when the lights came on and my kids were standing there, I screamed. Like, I was still screaming. Then I kind of stopped because it was like you kind of come to. It was the most bizarre thing. But there was no bad dream that preceded that. Like, that's the weird thing for me. So yeah, have you guys ever had night terrors? Have you had any recent paranormal experiences you wanted to share? I thought I would just share those couple things with you. What else has happened? Yeah, there was actually just a few weeks ago, there was, my eyes itchy here. There was a raven that was making a huge racket in my front yard. I've got a tree in the front, and like I said, my bedroom window faces the front yard. And this would have been like, I don't know, maybe 5 o'clock in the morning, something like that. 4:30, no, probably about 5:30, somewhere in there. It was daylight, but it was like early morning, and this raven was just going berserk in the tree and like really vocal and making all kinds of noise and wouldn't stop. And then I woke up because like I was in a deep sleep. I woke up, I could hear this, and then look out the window, and then it flew towards the window, fluttered like its wings like by the window, and then flew away. So kind of had a little bit of that contact with each other. And it was like, okay, that's interesting. And before that, a significant sign I had with regards to ravens or to crows was when somebody I considered to be like the love of my life had died, and like my whole entire fence was filled with crows and ravens from one end of the fence in the backyard all the way down to the back alley. There were crows and ravens. Some were facing north and some were facing south on the fence, but they were literally sitting side by side. Like, I don't know how many hundred or however many it was, but the whole entire fence was completely covered with crows and ravens. And when I saw that, I remember I just got this really cold chill go through me, and I knew that something major had happened and I was going to get some really significant news, but I didn't know what, but I didn't think it was going to be good news. And it was like, you know when something's going to happen, and it was just that knowing and kind of that dread, like, oh no, like something's going to happen. And then got word that you know, he well, went missing and then was found dead. But yeah, so there was that. And then with that crow just a few weeks ago, then found out that sister-in-law had passed away. I'd known her for like 33 years, and then she passed away that night that raven came. And like that morning when that raven came, it was that night when she had passed away. And that squeaking is the cat jumping on the coffee table. So yeah, so there's all that kind of stuff. Just some recent omens and signs and some paranormal experiences I thought I'd share with you guys. So I think that's about it for now. Ciao.